So, Yasuhiko Genku Kimura, thank you so much for making time to be with us at Sad Day. So,
yes,
I'm very honored.
Sad will become D-A-S, das, delightful, awakened, and serene.
Oh, great. That's a good play with words.
Transformation, yes.
Yeah, a nice invitation also. That's perfect. So thank you so much. I feel honored to be here with you. Yasuhiko, as a philosopher, consciousness researcher, Zen Buddhist monk, author, corporate consultant, and CEO coach, and especially as someone who has been researching human consciousness for more than 40 years now, how do you see the current context and the psycho-emotional challenges that human beings are actually facing?
Yes. What we are facing is the crisis of transformation, likes of which we have not seen in our lifetimes, also in history. And this crisis of transformation is also a healing crisis. In holistic medicine, there's a concept called healing crisis. So you have some chronic illness and the body is healing. Just before body become healed, symptoms get worse. And oftentimes people panic and they fail to go through the process to be healed. And today we are moving from old mode of consciousness to a new mode of consciousness. So there are transformation. And in the process, everything that has been dysfunctional in the old mode of consciousness is coming to the surface. So symptom of illness collectively look worse. So all the inner conflict that people have are coming forth, showing up as external conflict. And when there is something like a pandemic, the people panic. And so much misinformation, disinformation, mixed with information coming at them, people become confused. And there are people who manipulate this situation to their own good at the cost of large number of people. So that is what's happening, is confusion, is a crisis of transformation. I don't see this as catastrophe. It is a crisis of transformation. If we go through this intelligently together, we will see a new kind of world. And in the whole history of human consciousness, about 3,000 years ago, there are some huge change, and similar change is taking place today. So in the last 3,000 years, we can say it was the age of mind culminating in age of reason. The next phase that we are going to have, the phase into which we are entering, is the age of being and the age of imagination. So the human mind reached its evolutionary peak around the end of 18th century. And we have lived well over 200 years with the momentum of that age. And that momentum is coming to the end. And now we can regenerate ourselves into the age of being and the age of imagination. And as you know, mind works with the past. See, genes duplicate and memes recreate. So our mind is designed to assimilate knowledge from a culture into which each one of us was born, and recreate. So the people who have good memories and who can imitate better get rewarded. In this existing education system, people who get higher grade are those people who have better memories, who memorize better than other people. That's how mind works. So mind is a recreative mechanism. It is a memorizing mechanism. And that memorizing mechanism and culture and civilization that have been built on the basis of that memorizing mechanism, basic human operating system of the mind, has come to an end. We need something else in order for humans to continue to evolve. So the mind has developed. Now mind will become a part of greater intelligence, which I can call holistic intelligence or integral intelligence. It is extra mental, actually supramental, which include the mind. Mind becomes a reference, but it's no longer a driving factor. So mind provides information to this greater intelligence. And this greater intelligence determines how to live. And because that greater intelligence, essence of it is imagination, we will see a different kind of creativity that we have seen before, from what we have seen before. And so, you know, Socrates, Socratic injunction, verifies maxim, know thyself, has been the basic tenet of philosophy up to this moment. The next one is be thyself. So when you are into know thyself based on the mechanism of mind, what you become is somebody in society, you know. You want to achieve higher status. So I am a doctor, I'm a psychologist, I'm a philosopher, I'm this and I'm that. I have one master's degree, he has 3 PhDs and so on and so forth. The self is identified with a particular kind of profession or status. And people become status-seeking machines. This is called mimetic desire. You know, it is not a desire, like a natural desire, but when you're born into a society where status plays a huge role in self-identification, people imitate the other people's desire to achieve higher status. So humans have become status-seeking animals. And so we are taught to become somebody in society. Very few people are lucky that their parents tell you, Cinara, be yourself. No, it's a Cinara, you know, you have to go to this good university and get a PhD and you know, you're smart. Be this and be that. Be a lawyer, be a doctor, whatever. Very few people ever grew up in an environment in which parents encourage their children to be themselves, except for those parents who took my course in Brazil. Small advertising. Anyway, but you see now, be thyself, be yourself, will become the essential maxim for humanity. And when you begin to seek to be who you are, you become individually differentiated more and more. In another way of saying this, you become more and more unique. People who have realized themselves in the past, even, those people we call geniuses, the more they developed, the more unique they became. So when you listen to Beethoven and Mozart, you know which composition is by whom. Somehow they achieve this uniqueness. They have a signature. So this culture of be thyself, be yourself, will bring forth a way of living in which people pursue their uniqueness and fulfillment as who they are. And they may become a musician, a doctor, scientist, but they are bigger than anything that they do. And much of the frustration you see in this world is this: people are trying to be somebody that has nothing to do with becoming who they are. So the deep desire to be who they are and express themselves and manifest their cosmic destiny is frustrating. So even those who become successful in society, having MDs and PhDs and JDs and everything else that you can ever have, and become very famous, rich, there's a deep dissatisfaction within. And most people never achieve the higher status. So there's frustration. So the people who achieve higher status, they compromise their frustration. The people who don't achieve it, they don't feel good about themselves. In two ways: they haven't achieved the higher status and they haven't achieved being who they are. Tremendous amounts of frustration going on this planet. So that way of being is giving away into something unique. So the age of mind moving into age of being, age of mimetic recreation into authentic self-generation, the age of reason to age of imagination, bring forth new kind of civilization. And if we go through this crisis intelligently, we will come out just like somebody who suffered from a chronic disease coming out better and healthier. We should not be using any medication to suppress it.
Right.
But we need to understand what is going on. And because that the age of being is an age of self-generation, be thyself contains this evolutionary element of generating oneself. And to me, that is where we are. And whenever I encounter people who are confused, this is basically what I say. because you're so intelligent and knowledgeable, I'm using vocabulary which is a little more technical. But we can say what I said with even to high school student or even junior high school student, which I have done. So the truth is actually very simple, and we can explain to people and reassure them.
Right. So it's great because this vision brings much hope, and hope, I think it's what we also is needing. And then when you talk about an integral intelligence, we think in terms of another kind of another level of consciousness, right? So would you please talk about the state of human consciousness in these situations identified as stress, anxiety, and depression? What is happening in the mind while someone is living these states? How to understand this process at the level of the consciousness, and how to convert it into self-development?
Yes. So in the age of mind, the default mode of being is being a victim. The victim consciousness, victimhood consciousness is the default mode of human consciousness. So people see themselves in one way or another, to a degree, a victim. Of course, we become a victim of some accident. If earthquake takes place, we are a victim. It is not what I'm talking about, obviously. It is a victim mode of consciousness. Because mind is a mimetic device. There's an external authority, external power that is running the show. And you are cast into this world, which is not of your control. And things happen to you, even when you want to try to make things happen. Usually, you fail because of this victim consciousness. This is very deep in the sense that it goes permeate collective human consciousness. And there are people who exploit this victim consciousness for their political reasons. And so the stress, anxiety, and depression are actually all manifestations of fear, which is intrinsic to this victim consciousness. Because there's an external power and authority that is running the show, you're afraid. The stress, there are many books written about it. But when you observe yourself, when you are stressed out or you are stressful, you realize that the sense of stress, the experience of stress arises with the sense of being out of control. And those who suffer from victim consciousness are therefore in perpetual state of stress, because they're not in control. And of course, when things happen like this pandemic, stress increases. And in the United States, some governors and mayors tell you, you can't go out. You can't gather together. If you don't wear masks, you'll be sent to jail. It's like, what is going on here? So they follow because they're afraid. and it causes stress. It's called fear mongering. And the people who are fearful do whatever that the external authority, tell them to do. This stress. Anxiety is a fear of the imaginary. When you're on the street and a big car comes to you, of course you have a fear, but it is a fear of the moment. Anxiety is something what happens, if I lose my job? You have a job, your employer said, no, you have a job, but you are afraid, you're going to lose the job. Anxiety is the fear of the imaginary. Only humans have anxiety. Dogs don't care about what happens tomorrow, so far as we know. Depression is a result of people suppressing and repressing natural flow of emotion. So a mode, emotion, this motion going up. Emotion is an energy. And if you are with the flow of emotion, you will never get depressed. But if you suppress fear, suppress anger, suppress this and this, the energy will accumulate within you. And then you even start to feel the weight of it. And then you feel depressed. Of course, there are some neurochemical, depressions where somebody have depression because of some neurochemical imbalance. So we need to make sure, if that's the case, that person needs to be taken care of medically. But even then, we can never really separate between the psychology and the physiobiology. But most depressions that people suffer are psychogenetic, is psychological, and psychological in the sense of prolonged, habitual depression of the natural flow of emotion. Why? Because they are afraid. So you see, this fundamental fear and victim consciousness are at the basis of this problem that people have. And we must free ourselves from this victim consciousness. So this is a part that we must work on. So in a larger scale, I can see the age of mind moving to an age of being. But those of us who are living in this transition, interregnum, because being is self-generative, we must generate new mode of being, which is free from victim consciousness. So victim consciousness comes from the frame of mind where the power is outside. So the first thing we must do is that we stand in the place of power within. The power is within. You become in charge of your destiny. Number two, that means you must see yourself as the cause, not the effect of the situations and the conditions in which you find yourself. Well, you may not have caused the situation in which you find yourself, but so long as you remain a victim, you'll stay there. So now it is your responsibility to transcend that state of being and move out of that situation and the condition. And responsibility is I don't know in Portuguese, this is one of the most beautiful words in English language. It was used for the first time, as far as I know, based on the Oxford English Dictionary, by Alexander Hamilton in one of the papers in the Federalist paper he and James Madison and John Jay wrote. Responsibility. Respond. Re is anew. Spond is to promise, to commit. So responsibility is an ability to commit anew. A responsibility is ability to make a new commitment and take action based upon that commitment. So it is an act of taking charge. That's responsibility. Most people react. So we must stop reacting consciously and then see yourself as the master of the situation and responsibly take action by making a new commitment. So this is all self-generative. So by doing this, you move from the age of mind to age of being right there.
Great. Yes, perfectly. Yes.
You see, so conscious evolution can only be done by consciousness, consciously. Evolution does not happen in this sense. Although the movement of human consciousness is moving in this direction, each one of us has to make a conscious choice to be conscious and be responsible. And that is our responsibility on the whole history of humanity. We are here to create, be the harbinger of new mode of consciousness by generating it.
Then we can say that the first step would be get the awareness of the reaction, right? The process of reacting towards the fears we all generate. So once we get this awareness and realize the power is inside to make a choice, go in this direction or in a new direction, and realizing the only person who can make this choice and this movement is him or herself.
Yes.
So this would be...
Yeah, that's why I think, what you're doing is so important. You want to reach out to people and inform them. You see, that's an awareness. So we talked about consciousness, old consciousness and new consciousness. And the system that exists, society, civilization, as an outcome of the mode of consciousness of the age of mind, is bicameral. Power structure and the rest of the people. And this power structure dictates how the society is run. Then we talked about status. So when you are born, everybody tries to be part of this power structure. Most people fail, some people succeed. When you have the power structure of this nature, there can never be any democracy, because democracy is possible only by a community of people who are self-governing, responsible humans. Now, when you have a ruler and ruled, the power structure and slaves, slavery disappeared as a system in Brazil and the United States some centuries ago. Mental enslavement exists, and people think that they are free, especially in the West. Actually, they are mentally enslaved. So this power structure still runs the society of a mental enslavement system. And the few runs the world, and the majority is enslaved. When I came to the United States for the first time as a young man, I applied for the credit card system, credit card, because everybody using it, credit cards, innocently, okay. And they said, you have no debt, therefore we can't give you any credit. That's very strange. Are you saying that, I have to have been divorced before I can marry for the first time? Same logic. You see, if you need to have a debt to be able to become to get the credit card, is just like you have to have been divorced before in order for you to get married. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I managed to get the credit card, and I realized it is really a debt enslavement system. You borrow money with credit card, and you have debt. And every month you have to pay this, debt. When I realized that, I stopped owing money to anybody. So it is a debt enslavement system. This whole central banking system that exists on this planet is a debt enslavement system. And so economically, politically, and socially, we have that kind of system, and people are enslaved, and their mind is controlled. So to change our consciousness, we need to free ourselves from the state of slavery to state of freedom. And what we talked about, becoming from victim to being responsible and self-generative, the same thing in a social context. We want to be free from this enslavement to become a free individual, which means we need to know, first of all, that we are enslaved. Second, our mind is controlled. So when we think that we think, we are actually repeating the program that was installed inside our hardware. The software we run and we think we are thinking is a software that came from the power structure. So it is actually quite a huge project for each one of us to actually free ourselves and become responsible, because society is ongoing through the media, through the academia. People are ongoingly controlled.
Yes.
Mind controlled.
And also so much distraction all the time.
Yes, yes. And people, one of the ways, divide and rule, or divide and conquer. This power structure divides us into Democrats and Republicans, conservative and liberals, whatever that is. And then we fight. And they benefit, you see. So this structure exists. The people, so psychologically, we need to realize this victim consciousness. And sociologically, we need to see the system, how it is going. And what is happening is that the system is collapsing. And they are fighting back. So this system used to have a monopoly on communication. With the internet, they lost the monopoly on communication. So they can't mind control us easily anymore, because we get to hear many different perspectives from so many different people, and ordinary citizens are doing some investigation to find the truth that is not hidden from the view as far as the mainstream media is concerned. Because media is serving the power structure, not us. So some of us do our research, and we start to find so many different things. Yes. So now what they have done, they have turned internet giant to be part of them. So in the United States, at least, I don't know in other countries, the voices of those people who are doing their own thinking and disagreeing with mainstream narratives are censored and suppressed.
Yes, unfortunately.
So, yes, you know, I'm being very controversial here. But you see, it is not to incite any political, activism. It is to make people aware. And when we come together, we don't want to be either this. We want to be here. And we want to free ourselves, first of all, internally free ourselves. And work together with others who are also moving in that direction. And history is always created by the created minority. You don't need a majority rule in order for you to transform this planet. But you and I, and people who listen to you, people who work with you, people who work with me, those people coming together and create new vortex and create a new future for humanity.
This new vortex starts from the inside, from
Exactly.
our point of view of
Exactly.
the whole life,
Mm-hmm.
the different levels of life which can be integrated
Mm-hmm.
in our consciousness,
mm-hmm.
in order to free ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and the life itself
Mm-hmm.
through
Yes.
our eyes,
Yes.
to reach the full potential we have.
Yes. Yes. So people need to know that in terms of consciousness and in terms of system, something new is arising, and we can be part of that new arising or perish as the part of the old system and old consciousness. So it is an exciting time, an exciting challenge we have. And, we have friends, acquaintances who are suffering. Those people who are suffering, we want to make sure that they are able to share themselves. Having suffering like a depression, anxiety, and stress is suffering. It is really a suffering. But not being able to share is another form of suffering. And people commit suicide, not because of the suffering, but because they cannot share. So it is very, in the US, lot of people commit suicide during this period, lockdown. Some people think it is even more serious problem than actual, virus.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that people are able to share, just speak their sharing and speak their suffering. And we want to be able to listen. People, when everywhere you go, people are opining. They give you opinion on everything. And very few people listen. I say dogs urinate around their neighborhood. Humans opinionate around their neighborhood. And when you listen to people's opinions, they haven't even studied the subject upon which they are opining. So people opine. No, we want to listen, especially to those who are in pain, so that they don't need to feel they are alone. And so listening society instead of opining society. We want to develop a listening society, a listening community. It's extremely, extremely, extremely important. When my wife and I lost somebody very dear just a few weeks ago. It was very shocking. But she was like a beautiful, beautiful 18-year-old girl, intelligent. So we feel that much pain. Imagine the parents' pain. All we can do is be there and listen to the person, parents, So we offered, so whenever they feel like talking, they will talk to us. And, many people are suffering. The greatest gift that we can give to people is the gift of listening.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
And that brings us the sense of belonging, which is our primitive need, right? So the belonging requires the listening ability, which brings also the opportunity to learn about our differences and grow up from there, right? So,
people at a different stage of development, understanding. So only by listening carefully, you can see where they are. Then whatever comes out of your mouth in response to that listening is appropriate. And something you can say to somebody who is 18 years old is different from something that you say to a 38 years old. Both are suffering from anxiety. Basic mechanism is the same. And amongst 18 years old, there are differences. So we want to listen. And so this is we want to expand the circle of listening to people.
So we can say that to help a beloved one, a friend or someone in the family who is facing depression, the good thing, the good way is to listen, to offer an open heart, right? And to bring again the possibility of connection, which is basically the reason why a person is suffering. The feeling of disconnection is creating all this depression, heaviness, right?
You see, at the basis of this listening is being with. Again, age of being. You see, we can't be with things. You know, people are unable to be with some things. They deny. You see. So if you can't be with the grief within yourself, if you are unable to be with whatever is within yourself, you can't be with others. If somebody is suffering, if you can't be with that suffering within you, you are not able to be with that person. Right. When he or she is suffering. So it is start from you, listening to yourself and being with yourself. That is all about meditation. Meditation is the art of being and being with. And the master meditator, what is different about him or her is that he or she can be with anything and everything. Because he or she has been with everything within himself or herself.
Yes, and this place inside has a space to be with.
Yeah.
And by listening to you, I connected Carl Gustav Jung saying, which says, when you are in front of other human being, just be another human being.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah, in front of the other soul, just be a soul.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will connect from the inside, right? With no judgments, no pressure, no expectations, nothing that put the other person away. So I think this is our calling as humanity right now, right? To
another yes, exactly. And another aspect of this is, you know, when you look at the world, it almost looks like an insane asylum. People are really insane. And you know, the sanity is inversely proportional to the distance you have with your reality. Which means if you can be with reality, with everything, if you have zero distance with reality, you are totally sane. When you deny an aspect of reality and you start, the moment you deny something, you have a distance.
Yes.
And that distance is filled by illusion. So you see, insane, really insane people, although many people may be really insane. You go all the way to, you know, people who are so-called insane people. They have zero connection with the reality. And I will tell you, average human today probably only have around 50% connection to reality. That's why there's an insanity going on.
And that's why we need so much the meditation exercises.
Yes. Being with.
Get together inside.
Being with everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and listening, being and listening. Listening is what happens when you are being.
Right. Yes.
It is beyond just listening.
Right.
Listening.
And listen with the intention to be just open to hear the life expressing itself, right?
Exactly.
Whatever it is at the right moment, at the present moment. And this is not easy at the beginning, but it's so necessary, and also it's so simple, yet not easy, because we go so far away from our roots. And then on the beginning, starting meditation, it brings this sense that it's difficult, but it's just a first impression. We have to keep in this path and develop this ability to be responsible with the reality we have right now, and create open space for us to make a new choices for us personally, and also for those with whom we share life.
Yeah.
So,
you have been meditating many years. The first thing that people learn, meditation or yoga, is breathing. And there is no one who is alive who is not breathing, but they don't breathe properly. It is too simple. Yes, it is so simple. Breathe in, breathe out. There's nothing else there in life, in one sense. Breathe in, breathe out. Yes, listening is breathing in, speaking is breathing out. And people who have stress, anxiety, depression, they are not breathing correctly. And sometimes you can just breathe with them together. Breathe in, breathe out. Just be with your breathing, and eventually it becomes like a normal breathing, healthy breathing. Then many things happen already. Just by learning how to breathe, you begin to learn how to live. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. And also, I think it opens a way to connect the heart, not saying heart as the place, naive place, no, but the pure sense of being present and have your life beating and sustaining your body and sustaining your presence right here in this world. So, and this is a kind of, it's so simple, but yet it's such a magical moment when we open ourselves just to connect this main reality, which is, and which we are. Right?
As you know, our being, there are many different intelligences. When I say holistic or integral intelligence, it's really like an emergent intelligence. That's when all of the intelligence coming together and work in harmony. So there's heart intelligence, mental intelligence, body intelligence, emotional intelligence. There are, when we begin to analyze, there are so many different intelligences, but when they come together, up to this moment, we have ignored everything else except for the mind. Now we need to make the mind part of this holistic intelligence. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is what I call the consciousness authority, which goes beyond mind and can bring everything together.
Beautiful, I like that. And freedom is not possible without having the ability for free thinking or authentic thinking. And all those new age spirituality, they almost deny thinking. Actually, thinking is a spiritual activity. It is essential for you to be able to think authentically, freely, independent of the conditioning that has been placed upon you. And that thinking is a generative power that brings forth your new being individually and collectively. So thinking is essential. When you become a thinking being, you become a sovereign individual. And when sovereign individuals coming together, it becomes sovereign integral. And that is another way of naming democracy. And it is an omnicentric configuration of consciousnesses creating a society together, co-creation of society, sovereign integral, democratic sovereign integral, created by sovereign individuals who can, who do think freely and authentically. Therefore, there will be a disagreement, but there will be an alignment for greater truth, greater happiness together.
Yes, thank you. And I look forward for us to have another opportunity to go deep in this point.
Yes.
I mean, alignment beyond disagreement.
Yes.
Because I think this topic is so necessary.
Yes.
So I thank you so much, Yasuhiko. It's such a pleasure to have you here, enriching the sad day with your view and knowledge and wisdom. And actually, our dream, let's say that, or our challenge is to make the sad day into a happy day. So, and
delightful,
right.
Awakened,
delightful, awakened.
Serene means peace.
Yeah. Right, that's perfect.
Every become DS.
Right. So perfect. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much.
And it was a pleasure.
Yes.
Hope to see you again soon.
Yes, same here. Thank you very much.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.